So I just want to wish everybody well. And I don't see many people, just about 2 or 3 faces. But I'm glad that some of you are here, and a famous Monday class. And even we have honored by the presence of Nick Carroll, who is here, also one of the teachers at the Buddhist Society. So what we are going to do, as usually, we will start, I think tonight we'll start with a precept for those who want to take the precepts. We don't need to ask for the precept anymore. Those who want to take it, you do it. Those who don't want, you can just sit quietly and listen to the chanting. Yeah. So, okay, so I'll give the precept now. Okay, so I will say Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa 3 times on my own, and then you do it 3 times yourself on your own. And then after that, Buddham, Dhammam, Sangham 3 times, and we repeat 3 times, and that is after each line you repeat after me. Yeah, so it's easier, just 1 line to remember. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Okay, I hope you can all hear me. I would like to ask you, Nick, if you don't mind being unmuted when they do it themselves, so at least they have somebody they can follow. And if you don't mind it that it's you, that would be great. At least they have a person they can follow while they are chanting as well. So now we do one line by line. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Sangham saranam gacchami.
Sangham saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddham saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddham saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddham saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddham saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi sangham saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi sangham saranam gacchami.
Tisarana gamanani twitam.
Amaya.
Now we go to the 5 precepts, okay? So I do it once in Pali, and then you repeat after me, and then you do the English on your own. Do you mind, Nick, to continue to lead? Okay. Panatipata veratmani sikapadam samadhiyami.
Panatipata veramani sikhapadam samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking the life of any living creature.
Adinadana veratmani sikapadam samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikhapadam samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given.
Kammesu michachara veratmani sikapadam samadhiyami.
Kamesu mechachara veramani sikhapadam samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from sexual misconduct.
Sura. Musawada veratmani sikapadam samadhiyami.
Musawada verimani sikhapadam samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from lying.
Sura mera yama japamadatana veratmani sikapadam samadhiyami.
Surameraya majja pramadatana verimani sikhapadam samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink and drugs which lead to carelessness.
Imani pancha sikapadani silena sugatinyanti silena boga sampada silena nibutinyanti tasama silam visotaye.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
And I read to you the English translation. These are the 5 precepts. Virtue is a source of happiness. Virtue is a source of true wealth. Virtue is a source of peacefulness. Therefore, let virtue be purified.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, and then you bow to the Buddha Dhamma again, Sangha. So, we're going to do a period of meditation. And maybe before you start meditating, I like to refresh your memory with some of the, a few points that are really useful to bring into your meditation. Remember that each moment is a new moment. You don't need to carry the past with you, even though the mind will do the carrying of the past, never mind. And we're not going anywhere, which means really the focus is in the present moment, eternal moment, no timeless moment, here and now. Now, another point is to deal with oneself, to come to this meditation with the clear intention that you don't need to mistreat yourself when you see things that do not correspond to your ideals about who you are, or what you think, or what you do, or what you remember. Remember that each moment is special in the sense that there's only one moment like this. There won't be another one like this, maybe for ever. Yeah. So remember the preciousness of each moment, yeah, and the kindness that we bring to that moment. We receive that moment with loving kindness, and we let it go with peace. Yeah. So you can sit comfortably with your back upright. The spine is upright, elevated toward the ceiling. Your chin is slightly tucked in. And you begin to let your mind really just relax. Time to do nothing, just patiently noticing the feeling in the body, the posture of your sitting. Wherever you are, maybe you have some sound outside, you're aware of, you relax in the awareness of this present moment. Notice how are you feeling, just generally, just maybe you hadn't noticed before that maybe you feel tired or you feel happy. or you feel good, you feel inspired, or you feel, oh, God, another meditation. So you let the mind speak to you, let the mind to be at ease in this awareness of the present moment. If you find using an object of meditation, such as the awareness of the natural rhythm of your normal breath, or focus on the sort of a background sound, the sound of silence that maybe some of you have already used and know well. This is just to help the mind to continue to pursue its habit of moving and being distracted constantly by many things. So we use an object of meditation to settle down the mind. So you lose it and you come back. You can come back to the breath. You can come back to the sound of silence. You can come back to gentle, just the awareness of sitting. Yeah, here and now, the body is sitting. Nothing complicated, just what is. As you know, thoughts may continue to course through your mind. Just let them be. Don't engage with them, just listen to them. Just be like a listening mind. But you don't engage or start proliferating on the topic that they bring. Sometimes you noticed we start being very mindful of something, and then suddenly you've just come out of a long period of proliferating about what you're going to do tomorrow or what you've done yesterday. You didn't even know. Suddenly the clouds kind of moved out of the way, and oh, I was completely lost into my story of yesterday or my stories of tomorrow. So just patiently, very patiently, we just bring the mind gently to rest in awareness. Make sure that you don't absorb into your mind, into concentrating on one thing and then getting absorbed, and very peaceful state of mind, but not necessarily the work that meditation is leading us to, which is a work of seeing clearly the objects of the mind, such as sound, such as thoughts, feelings, the object of the mind, the movements of the mind, or pleasure, pain. So the mind is alert and awake rather than absorbed into a kind of some kind of peace, which is not really liberating, particularly. From time to time, you can check how your posture is. If your back is still supporting your body in a way, proper way. And as some of you know already from your long experience of meditation, that at some point your mind is focused enough, but also open and spacious enough to see clearly what the Buddha calls the three characteristics of all phenomena, which you can see moment by moment, the change, the quality of change and permanence, characteristic of that which is painful or difficult to bear, just the fact that maybe your back hurt or your mind is irritated or agitated. That's not pleasant, is it? So you learn how to observe these things in such a way that you get to know them really deeply, really well in your body and mind. Not just remembering the words of Buddhism, but you get to know these things right into your skin, so to speak. So this is the aspect called vipassana. So pasana means to see deeply, clearly. Those experience of anicca impermanence, dukkha, unpleasantness, and last one is a lack of ownership you have about your experiences. You can see you don't own them, they are not you. They go, they say goodbye or don't say goodbye, but you can't stop them sometimes. You can't really, things go, whether you like it or not. Sometimes you want them to go way faster, but they can't. So this is the learning that the Buddha offers us to understand ourselves. So it's not a matter of seeing it once. Through your meditation, you are observing those reality, the feelings, sensation, your thoughts, your perception, your eyes, what you see, what you hear, what you taste, even the taste in your mouth, the body contact with your arms, for example, resting on your legs or on your lap. And of course, your thoughts, thinking mind. You notice when the mind changes, sometimes it loses its focus, or can get bored, had enough. So now, as a meditator, you can observe that feeling of getting bored or getting agitated or wanting to end something. It's a deep learning of seeing deeply the nature of our mind and body. Now we come to the end of our meditation, and you can gently open the eyes. And maybe stretch your limbs, your legs, your arms, chin posture if necessary. Move a bit, but sometimes the body really needs a bit of movement so it doesn't get too stiff or too painful. So, I had a topic for you. Maybe I should end. You should see me a bit. But I'm not sure it's a topic you need to hear tonight. Are you interested about confidence on the path? Do you have confidence in your path? This is something that what does it mean to be confident? I'm not sure that talk is going to take me, but let's see what happens. Yeah, a number of people, I meet or I teach or I encounter in my life that even though they may have practiced for a certain amount of years or time, there's still not the confidence in them to be so clear that what they know is actually true or real. We are very dependent on what other people say, or we can be easily perturbed by declaration of people, or the tendency to think, oh, he knows, she knows, but I don't. Isn't it true? So you could say, don't worry about it, because it's a very common tendency. The mind will always give you some doubt about this, that, or the other. And what really brings to a human being a sense of that the doubt, I'm not saying doubt about everything, but actually certain doubts that you had are finished. You don't have any doubt, Yeah. The Buddha's teaching is very direct and simple. In the basic is actually to know anicca, dukkha, anatta, but not just thinking about it, to feel it through your mind, body, in depth, deeply. Not just 1 minute or a few seconds or one day, but it's a life journey. Do you understand? Now, it could seem like you have to be completely obsessed with this study of your mind and body. That's not what the teaching is pointing to. The teaching is pointing to the fact that there are periods you can have where you dedicate your practice. You can actually put effort and energy in your meditation that enables you to see more clearly. In daily life, it's not so easy to see clearly because things are so confusing. I mean, not to mention what's going on now, all these U-turn that's going on with the COVID, the pandemic, and all the ideas that we, we are the sort of we meet every day when just looking at the one page of the news, and you already know about 20 different kind of conflicts going on, sometimes in the same region, different views and opinions about this, that, and the other. So you may think, oh, I'm hopeless because I can't do this. It's too much. She's asking too much from me. I'm so busy. Yeah, it's true. We are busy. We are, there's a lot of things to attend to. But there are time you can offer to yourself to dedicate that time to the study that meditation offers. Okay? We may not be able to catch our breath or catch our body walking mindfully, at every moment. But there are times when you can do either walking meditation in your flat, in your apartment, or in the park, wherever you are, or just do simple awareness of the body walking, just doing a rumbling, not rumbling, ambling, whilst the minds rumble. Do you understand? Sometimes you have to be absorbed into things. You can't cook a good meal and sometimes it just be detached and, observing anicca dukkha anatta of your cake. This is not the time maybe to look at that. At that point, you just do it with all the heart and love you can do, right? And you get really interested and love doing what you're doing. Don't try to get into a kind of dissection of your experience at that moment, because there will be too many things at once, and that doesn't help because your mind is confused. But if you patiently declare yourself that you are here to learn, like all of us, we are learners, okay, of the nature of our existence. This is a repeat of the study, the continuous study, continuous awakening to our experience, waking up rather than falling asleep and absorbed into sloth and torpor or just laziness or confusion. So just to give some time to really dedicate one's attention and not expect any particular result, because that expectation is already a desire that's going to obstruct the view. Every time you expect something, your view is obstructed. Did you know that? Now, this is a tall order, isn't it? I mean, most of us have been used to expect things. We expect something that's going to be a good result. We expect something that's going to be worthwhile. We expect this. So our habit is to expect something we have already in mind. Now, how about not expecting anything and getting just what you want? Have you ever thought of that? You don't expect a good result, and then you get it. At the moment you forget about expecting a good result, you get it. Sometimes life is like that. It gives you something when you don't expect it, very often. So our habit is very much embedded in the, how can I say, in the past. They're embedded in the past because what we are wanting, needing, expecting, etc., is something we obviously must know. We think we know, don't we? That means we know, but might not be what is good for us. Maybe what life brings us is more appropriate to what we think we know. So sometimes your meditation takes you in that space where the mind stops being obsessed with wanting to know, wanting to expect something, wanting to. Yes. So I haven't lost you with confidence, but the confidence comes from just doing very much a very, how can I say in English, like a mouse work. Very small thing bear fruits. And sometimes we're so waiting for something big and extraordinary or something that really shows that we fall into disappointment, of course. But the very extraordinary result in our life come from a long time of small moment of attention. Yes, small actions, small realization. Yeah, nothing grand, nothing extraordinary. It's still anicca, it's still changing, still does not belong to you, and it's still not satisfactory. When the Buddha talks about satisfactoriness, adukkha, the word dukkha, when he talks about that, he's actually talking about, ignorance, just for you to know, right? He talks about the symptom of ignorance is what you experience when there is dukkha. It's more easy to, in a way, to get a handle of what that means. And by dukkha, it also means you think it's yours, but actually it's not. And so dukkha is you attach to something whose nature is not yours. It's not your thing. Doesn't belong to you. And what happened when we have feeling the experience of dukkha is the symptoms of being, clinging to something. So that open up, it's not just being painful, it's just identifying and clinging to something that is not yours, not you. That's when we get confused, So you could celebrate dukkha in the sense that it is actually that experience that the Buddha is pointing to is enabling us to have a clear seeing when the mind is grasping at something, identifying with something that does not belong to you. And it's very small. A thought doesn't belong to you. You can write it down 20 times, 100 times, fine. But it comes and goes, it comes and goes. It doesn't stay very long. A feeling, maybe you fall in love with somebody, okay? But then the other person doesn't love you, so you feel miserable, right? Then what happened? You cling to that person, maybe, and you're in pain because that person doesn't belong to you. It's not your kind of property. And same with cats and dogs and so on, It's easier to see with cats and dogs. Human beings are more complex. They're more capable of hiding their feelings. More sophisticated. So I'm returning to confidence again and again, because really the confidence comes when we have learned deeply enough to have no doubt. And not start another sentence, yes, but. Maybe that's not correct. Maybe going on and on. Yes, but well, maybe I don't know. I have to look into that book again because I'm not sure. At some point, your foot is your foot. It's not somebody else's foot, do you? Right? You have no doubt about it, do you? Do you think your foot is your neighbor's foot? No, you will never think for a minute. It's the same thing with Dhamma, At some point, the experience of your mind, body. This mind doesn't belong to us and the body doesn't belong to us. But it's an instrument there that enables us to understand what life is about. So it's interesting because I remember when I was in Thailand, just have to check the time. When I was in Thailand, I'll just tell you a story about confidence. I spent nearly 3 years there in the forest most of the time. And I remember being in a monastery in the north of Thailand, very well-known teacher of the Ajahn Sundara tradition. And it's kind of a little test, because I was looking for a place to spend the Vasa somewhere in Thailand. And he had a very nice place. I could have stayed there, and some nuns were very nice and so on. And then he started talking to me about, yes, but I'm not going to tell you all the things he said, but every time it's like stories of danger. I could be in danger. How about that? And every time it just came out of my mouth without thinking. I said, my Sila will take care of it. So I said, my Sila will take care of it. I had so much confidence that my Sila will protect me. Because when you practice as a nun, it's very intense, your rules and you're really purifying the heart without really having to think very much about it. Take the precept regularly, you meditate regularly, you know what your mind is doing, and you're also training your mind to avoid doing unskillful things and, developing good things that matters in life to make life and other people happy and well. And so I remember I ended up in the end in the forest in south of Thailand. I mean, not quite south, the sort of a few hours from Bangkok, not far from the sea. And I was in the forest on my own, and there was a monk's monastery. I was never frightened. It's really interesting because if I thought about it from England, I would have been scared, stiff probably, maybe. I don't know. But the idea of, meeting a king cobra and saving the frog that he was eating at the same time, which happened to me by throwing a little candle on his head. It wasn't quite next to me. I was above him in my kuti. I could have never thought of that, you see. So the confidence comes sometimes by developing a sense of happiness and goodness in oneself. You feeling good about oneself, becoming a good person, becoming a person that trusts herself, that has accumulated a lot of goodness. Even though you made mistakes, we all do, don't we? You made mistakes, you get it wrong, etc., etc. Still, you have a huge baggage of goodness in you. And so that brings something very special to the mind. And what does it bring as so special? Confidence. Do you understand? Notice that. There's something in you that feels safe because you have been dedicating your life to the good. It feels safe, doesn't it? To be connected with that which is good. Doesn't it, Juanita? That's what I feel. And in a way, going to from confidence, we can go to the refuge. The 3 refuges are also our field of confidence. And the refuge is the same thing. It's not a place, it's not something, it's not, it's just something beyond words. It's not a place. It's like, this is safe when you're aware, when you are knowing, when you know the Dhamma, the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, when you know the quality of mindfulness and awareness that brings so much peace to the mind. Even when chaos is crossing your consciousness, you still have the mindfulness that sees those things with a caring and peaceful mind. So this is something we need to remember, that the sense confidence is not a worldly confidence. I don't have to, to kind of beef up my ego and, give myself adrenaline, to get pushy and try to get first in line. And it's a lot of people, unfortunately, have been trained like that. Now, the confidence of a practitioner, it's somebody who basically is totally dedicated to non-harming, not hurting. That's a big world, isn't it? So many places, so many situations you could, unfortunately, do harm without even wanting, without even knowing. But suddenly that mindfulness, that refuge, that confidence in a knowing mind help you to stop saying something stupid or to do something that you can regret so badly afterwards. Because let's face it, our mind and body is energy. And this energy is not easy to handle. It's just this powerful force that we're part of. So, what do you do when you always have this powerful force of dukkha and misery and so on kind of hitting the mind? You're not going to get with kind of hatchet and start doing something stupid to stop you to be alive. What you need is just kindness, compassion, patience, and good friends. Good friends. Very important to have these good friends that reminds you you're not that on one level, you're not alone in this world, but also that can just the thought of some good friend practicing can inspire you to, uplift you, to continue the path, to continue this learning, to continue the study of the body, mind, heart. So I think maybe I can end my reflection on that, but now we have quite a bit of time, which is very rare usually, just happen, for question and answer. Now, you can quickly write them if you want to, or slowly write them on your chat of the, of the Zoom. If you have any question, please write them down. Or you can also, whilst somebody is writing question, maybe another person maybe wants to ask, to actually speak out and ask a question. But you have to unmute yourself and speak relatively clearly for me to understand what you're saying. Chat is empty. Now just don't look at me just like that. Remember, you may have a good question to ask. Don't be shy. You're talking to a French nun. You don't need to worry about it.
I've got something to say. sometimes we can delude ourselves in our confidence. Yeah, and we can think we have achieved something, or we don't need anything else, and so on and so forth. So what is your advice in that sense?
Well, the fact that you are conscious of this state of your mind is a good sign. For me, I keep things very simple. What I see now is enough, because the seeing will transform what you see now, which means you get maybe an experience that helps you. Do you understand? Or a message that helps you, some kind of wisdom, that helps you. I know what you mean exactly. I know that experience very well. But there's no stopping. Do you understand? There's no stopping. What you see now is a question. And the way you can deal with it is that this is something you can see, you're aware of, and so on. But it doesn't mean that's the end of the story. That's not the end of the chapter. Do you understand? So by speaking about the question, that can already open new doors. Yeah. And if you continue your meditation, then you can see the doors continue to open. We never, until you are an arahant, according to what the Buddha says, if you really trust and have confidence in the Buddha, maybe your life is too comfortable. Sometimes our life is too comfortable. Do you understand? So how? But you're not in your prime of the prime of your life, okay? Like, so we can know. I know I'm not in the prime of my life either. So there's plenty to learn as you age. Incredible learning. And so don't forget that your aging process is your deep learning process. How to make peace with that, how to relax, how to appreciate what's going on, how to make use of this time, for in a good way. Continue to practice, continue to share, to give, to be kind, and so on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I was just going to talk to you about the landscape I see, which is so magnificent from this window here. And suddenly I'd forgotten there's another landscape here also. You really typed very quickly. It was nothing a minute ago, and suddenly. Please advise on the strong method to overcome repetitive negative thoughts. Oh, that one. Don't we all know it? Huh? So those thoughts are just waiting for you to be really, to get to know them. They are repetitive, probably because you don't pay attention enough to them. Every time mindfulness is bring its light on our experience, it this kind of thing. Understand? Repetitive thoughts, just be very, very patient. It's just what's happening now. Repetitive thoughts. But if you don't want them, they'll never go because you keep fighting, you keep fighting. Desire not to want them, wanting them not to want them. The habits is that they're here because you have thought about them. You thought them for a long, long time, maybe. Now you're aware, you're thinking those repetitive negative thoughts. All you have to do is, hello, I hear you. Then they will go. I had a lot of repetitive thought myself. There was a time when I used to go for half an hour. I would tell Ajahn Sumedho all the terrible thing that I thought I was. I'm terrible, I'm this, I'm that, I can't this. Now, doing that to myself now will be like pure madness. Do you hear that? Pure madness. Why pure madness? Because that's not how you help yourself to be free. How do you become free from these things? By seeing them clearly and resting in the part of the mind that has no problem. Awareness, what we call awareness, mindfulness, consciousness, call it whatever you want, that which burns the delusion of our mind. So, be very patient. When you say, I tell you what, next time you see me, maybe after the summer, next time you see me, I will ask you, what you've done with your negative thoughts. So do an experiment, which I've done several times, which works. It's like negative thought, you say, hello, my friends. You can be here for 3,000 years. I won't mind. Do that 10 times. They'll just run away. They've gone. I did that with cooking when I was cooking on a retreat of Ajahn Sumedho. I was cooking in the morning, and then cooking in the afternoon. During all my meditation, I was making pizza and quiche and cakes and all that. I said, I've had enough of that. I've had enough. And then at some point, you see, this is when the Dharma helps you. You have to, hang on a second. You have to learn how to understand the law of energy, which means the more you want something away from you, the more they stick to you. So the more you want to get rid of something, the more they stay with you. So that's why the Americans have, created this expression, radical acceptance. In Buddhism, it's very well known, radical acceptance. That means it's a really Dharma teaching, because it means stop refusing what life is bringing to you. So when I did my cooking morning, cooking afternoon, hating it, after 3 days, I said, I've had enough. And that little kind of, we do have help. I trust my help, even when I get it wrong, I trust, because at that point in that retreat, I remember being really annoyed with myself, cooking in the morning, cooking in the afternoon, this is enough. And there's a little voice that says, I've had many little voices like that, helpful. But this one, that's right, this one was more of a story. That's what I just give you to you. I told you, I said, okay, my mind, you can be thinking for 3,000 years. It's the same story that came to me. I won't mind. I'll be there for you. Very kind of do you know what I mean? Like psychotherapeutic, kind of jargon, hippie time, I'll be there for you. So, and what happened? I'm not lying. The thought stopped. Now, of course, you're not going to believe me, do you? You're not supposed to believe me anyway. That would be a mistake. But try to work or experiment with that. It's interesting. Okay. And feeling two. Who is feeling two? What's that? There's something. It's not completely clear to me what dukkha is. And feeling two. I don't know if it is the same person or not. Dukkha Okay. Dukkha means pain. It has been translated in English differently, which are all very useful. Pain, that which is difficult to bear. When you don't get what you want, do you remember the feeling you have when you don't get what you want? That's dukkha. When you get what you don't want, do you remember that? Oh, disappointment. That's dukkha. Okay? When you identify with your mind, body, and so on, and you don't want it to go, or you don't want it to be different, or you don't want somebody to take away your body from you, from that person, that's dukkha. That which is difficult to bear. I like that translation. And the last one is stress, like Ajahn Sundara translated it as stress. And I think it's a very good expression, actually, because that's a stress of the mind that is not enlightened yet. Do you understand? It's a stress of the mind that is identified with the conditions of the mind. Yeah? By conditions, I mean that which you identify with. That which, and you don't always know it until the experience manifests, Sometimes we don't know we are in pain because the pain can be subdued. It can be located below, below the surface, and we don't know it. It doesn't appear. But little by little, you find if through your meditations, through your awareness, taking refuge in the part of the mind I can see and know and, have clarity of seeing, is not clinging to anything, then you will see that things start rising up. You never know what's going to come up. Come out of a difficult time, you have a better time, another difficult. The karma of our life goes on in meditation. We don't wipe out anything. So so that's what I can say about dukkha. And feeling too. Feeling. Who doesn't know about feeling? I suppose you have to be British for that too. If you were Italian or French, you know what feeling is about. No, I don't. I'm joking, actually. No, it's not true, because I know the British are completely, just like anybody else, have a lot of feelings and a lot of, it's all a bit hidden, but it's all there. I have no doubt. So, what are we feelings? Yeah, I mean, don't you feel things? Anybody was telling me that? Asking me. Okay, okay. Yeah. Feeling good, feeling bad, feeling groovy, feeling cool, feeling fantastic, feeling miserable. That's feeling. Yeah, Vedana. In Pali, we say Vedana. And these feelings are really useful. You know why? Because this is from these feelings, from the experience of feeling, that's where we can see the grasping. If you know the Paticca dependent origination. If you know how it kind of the order of the Paticca, okay. Some of you maybe never read the teaching of the Paticca. Have you ever read that? Well, you go and get a good book from Bhikkhu Bodhi or from other very good teachers who can. Ajahn Sumedho has written 5 chapters of his book, Seeing the way it is. So Vedana Tanha, in the Burmese tradition of meditation tradition, teachers used to teach it that way. When you meditate, they ask you to watch, the moment when Vedana Tanha, to look that moment, because that's when the stories start becoming, complex and elaborated, and it's called proliferation. Instead of just letting it go there. Don't get the mind embroiled with stories upon stories. You won't be able to see what's happening anymore. Do you understand? Because you are completely overwhelmed with a mountain of thought and story and feeling and so on. And you won't see the way that takes you, that frees the mind. Yeah, how does Theravada understand duality? Is there non-duality? Yes, there is non-duality. Yes, of course there is, you know. I mean, it depends what you mean by duality. Where's this person? Is she around? No? No. Very often we talk about non-dual in the sense that internally and externally, you know, it's not divided. For example, you can look at it like that. You know, what's in here is what's projected outside. It's one, it's not two. Mm-hmm. I think that's all I say for now. What can we do to overcome a tendency to compare ourselves to others, assuming there is always doing better than them? They are doing better in life, they better even though. Oh, do I know that one? Do we know that one? Oh, fortunately, I don't have that anymore. I know I'm imperfect. Once you know you're imperfect, there's no problem, you see. Once you know you're not as good as everybody else, it's great, you know. I have no problem. That's a problem. It's the mind. It's not you. Once you begin to see that this mind does not belong to you, but it's difficult to get that through, because really I feel my mind and body are very much mine, belongs to me. This is my story. I was born in this body. My parents made me this way. That's me. Yeah, isn't it? Difficult to imagine this is not me. But what it means is nobody else is going to be like you. You're unique in that sense, you know, completely unique. All right? Nobody else resemble you. Might have twins, but still, it's not you. Okay? But at the same time, you know, when we, how can I say, when we meditate, the more we meditate, you become really familiar with that notion of this is not me, this is not mine. It's not something you can think about, you understand? It's something that comes to you naturally. Just like before, you never had a cold hand in your life. I'm just an example, which is a bit silly, but okay. You'd say, well, cold hand is like this, and it's like that. This cold hand is like that, and this like that, and we can read many books on cold hand and so on, you know. But you never know exactly what a cold hand is until you put it in the ice or in the cold water. Do you understand? It's the same with the mind and liberating the mind from this attachment to it, you know. You don't know yet a mind that's not attached to itself. That makes sense? Little by little, we know that. Yeah? Makes sense? And this practice brings it to you little by little. And sometimes you have big insight, you know, sometimes you have big realization. But they come out as nothing, you know, you just look at the window and say, oh, the world has changed, you know. Something happened. You don't even know what it is. How did that happen? All the big burden you were carrying suddenly lifts, you know, by just looking through the window. So I wish you well, you know, we can do a conversation. Don't worry, stop comparing yourself to any other people. Or if you do now, play with it. Play with it. Do you understand? Have fun with it. Because it's all perceptions about things that are not real. You're just perceiving yourself in this way and perceiving the other person. It's just sanya. If you know the word Pali, is sanya, perception. You imagine something that you are. You imagine the other, what they are. It's just a game the body, the mind is doing. Just a game, just playing with you. It's teasing you. You're going to start smiling. Yeah, don't take yourself seriously like that, you know. Yeah, they are doing better in life. Yeah, maybe they are, absolutely. And they are better even at the meditating, absolutely. And you're right at the back of the class. You're terrible. You're awful. And look at that. You look so stupid. You just have to play the game, have fun with yourself, you know, just have a little kind of drama. You could play a little drama. I think we should have drama. Just stop taking ourselves so seriously, you know. So the last one is, we're a bit late, but what can we do to overcome a tendency to compare? So that we've gone through that. Cecilia, maybe that's the last one. Finished? One go? One do?
That's it. Yeah, that's all the question
Yeah.
I have here. Thank you.
Hello, Wang Du. Are you still here? He's gone.
Yes, I am. Yeah, that's all the question I have, sister.
So if you have no other questions, I'll be very happy to say goodbye. I'm also happy to have met you again. Some of you have known for many, many years. And I wish you a very, very wonderful summer. Don't get a headache with all the changing of the government and the conspiracy theories. And I said to a friend of mine today, I said, you know, nowadays with the coronavirus, so many opinions are popping up everywhere, pro, against, and so many varied idea, conspiracy, and all this kind of thing. And I said, people can think what they want, you know. You don't have to take a position, but you're still allowed to think for yourself. Maybe you don't believe any of it, you know. And that's fine. But don't try to get too involved with these things because they're really crazy. You know, I think it's always good to read the world in general, you know, with a kind heart. People are doing the best they can, you know. So let's all of us do the best we can. Make sure you are prudent with all this, you know, all this kind of terrible restrictions, and then no restriction, and then U-turn restriction, and then drive you nuts. I'm glad I'm in a monastery, you know, at least I'm kind of in my kuti out there, and just I just have a conversation with the cats and the rat and the mouse and the nuns. Simple life. And I want to tell you about the monastery. Maybe some of you are interested. There is a corridor at 10:30 in the morning that takes you all the way to a marquee. You can come, park your car in the parking. You can only be 20 people at a time, which means you have to phone the office to let them know you're coming. Because they will ask you some question like, have you been vaccinated? Have you been that? Okay. And then what happened, you can, you know, Ajahn Amaravati, the abbot, is usually giving a little, you know, reflection, Dhamma. And then you can have, then we do the chanting, the ceremony and the blessings and the meal that is offered to the community. So this happens every day. And on Sunday, I think once a week, I think on Monday, he gives the precepts. If you want to take formally the precepts, you can do on the Monday, half moon, full moon, new moon. I think that's when he gives them. Okay, I'll encourage you to do that. And then that's about all that is available, you know, for people outside. People can also bring, there's one part of the monastery, the front part, so first you see gates, takes you to the marquee. And the second gate takes you to a place where you can deposit things. If you want to offer something for the meal or offer something to the community, there are tables there where you can leave things there. Yeah. So it's up to you. Okay. But we're quite strict. I mean, it's fortunate, and some people maybe find it unfortunate because many people would like to come back and visit a monastery and so on, But all I can say to you is that the nuns building, the new nuns building, is doing very, very well. So you'll be very pleased when you come back in a year's time. We'll have a whole place for the nuns, completely new. It's going to be a building site for many years, I think, because we have the sala, it's going to be rebuilt, and we have the monks' place is going to be rebuilt, and the retreat center. I mean, it's quite amazing. Anyway, I've gone far out of my my duties as Monday class, but I say goodbye now, and thank you for Nick for being here. It's lovely to have you.